In the early hours of the 4th of April 1979, a former Prime Minister of Pakistan walked silently toward the gallows. Outside the prison walls, the nation slept. Unaware that history was about to be permanently altered, Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto, the most popular civilian leader Pakistan had ever seen, was about to be executed by his own state. How did a man who once stood before roaring crowds, promising power to the people, end up alone in a prison cell, sentenced to death? Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto was not an ordinary politician. A was an-idea, a movement, and for millions of Pakistanis, a voice they had never heard before. Born in 1928 in Larkana, Bhutto belonged to an elite family, educated at some of the finest universities in the West. Yet, he chose to speak the language of the poor, the workers, and the forgotten. At a time when Pakistan was ruled by generals and powerful elites, Bhutto promised something radical: democracy, dignity, and power for the common man. Through the Pakistan People's Party and the slogan Roti, Kapra, or Makan, he transformed politics into a mass movement. But Bhutto's rise was as dramatic as his fall. His journey would reshape Pakistan as a constitution redefine its foreign policy, ignite fires opposite, and ultimately divide the nation. This documentary is not just the story of Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto's life. It is the story of Pakistan's struggle between democracy and power. Rise of a mass leader, 1967-1971 by the late 1960s. Pakistan was facing deep political frustration. Military rule, economic inequality, and the growing gap between the ruling elite and ordinary citizens had created widespread anger. It was in this environment that Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto emerged as a powerful new voice. In 1967, he founded the Pakistan People's Party, introducing a radical idea for Pakistani politics: mass participation. His slogan, Roti, Kapra, or Makan, directly addressed the basic needs of the poor and working class, something no mainstream leader had done before. Bhutto's speeches were emotional, confident, and confrontational, turning politics into a public movement rather than an elite discussion. The 1970 general elections marked a turning point. While the PPP won a decisive victory in West Pakistan, political deadlock with East Pakistan's leadership led to a national crisis. The failure to transfer power peacefully resulted in civil war and the eventual separation of East Pakistan, which became Bangladesh in 1971. This was one of the darkest moments in Pakistan's history. Out of this national humiliation, Bhutto rose to power, inheriting a broken country, a defeated army, and a deeply wounded national psyche, rebuilding a shattered nation 1971 to 1974. After the 1971 crisis, Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto took control as president and later prime minister of Pakistan. The country was politically unstable, economically weak, and psychologically devastated. Bhutto's immediate challenge was survival both of the state and of public confidence. One of his most significant achievements was the framing of the 1973 Constitution, which established Pakistan as a parliamentary democracy and remains the country's fundamental legal document today. Bhutto also focused on restoring national pride. Through the Simla Agreement with India, he secured the release of thousands of Pakistani prisoners of war, a move that was widely seen as diplomatic success. Domestically, his government introduced reforms aimed at empowering workers and peasants, including land reforms and labor rights. However, his policy of nationalization, though intended to reduce inequality, produced mixed results and faced strong resistance from business communities. Despite criticism, Bhutto's leadership during this period helped stabilize Pakistan and gave its people a renewed sense of identity and direction after an almost existential crisis. Nuclear vision and global influence. Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto believed that Pakistan's survival depended on strength, self-respect, and independence in global affairs. One of his most defining decisions was launching Pakistan's nuclear program. In a famous statement, he declared that Pakistan would eat grass if necessary, but would develop an atomic bomb to protect its sovereignty. This vision laid the foundation for Pakistan's future nuclear capability. On the international stage, Bhutto pursued an active and confident foreign policy. He strengthened ties with China, balanced relations with the United States, and positioned Pakistan as a leader in the Muslim world. The 1974 Islamic Summit in Lahore symbolized this ambition, bringing together leaders from across the Muslim world and elevating Pakistan's global standing. Bhutto sought to redefine Pakistan not as a dependent state, but as a self-reliant nation with its own voice. While his foreign policy earned respect abroad, it also increased pressure from powerful global actors. His assertive approach made him influential but also increasingly isolated. Controversies, opposition, and political crisis. 1975-1977. As Bhutto consolidated power, criticism against his leadership intensified. Opponents accused him of authoritarian behavior, suppressing dissent, and weakening democratic institutions. The nationalization policies began to hurt the economy, causing dissatisfaction among the middle class and business sectors. Political polarization deepened, and trust between the government and opposition steadily eroded. The 1977 general elections became the breaking point. Allegations of widespread rigging triggered massive protests across the country. The Pakistan National Alliance mobilized large demonstrations, demanding Bhutto's resignation. The situation spiraled into chaos, with strikes, unrest, and negotiations failing repeatedly. Bhutto's decision to confront rather than reconcile with the opposition proved costly. The political deadlock created an opening for the military. On the 5th of July, 1977, General Zia-ul-Haq imposed martial law, overthrowing Bhutto's elected government. Once again, Pakistan's democratic process was interrupted, and Bhutto's political journey entered its darkest phase. Trial, execution, and legacy 1977-1979. Following the military coup, Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto was arrested and charged in a controversial murder case. The trial, widely criticized by legal experts and international observers, became one of the most debated judicial proceedings in Pakistan's history. Despite global appeals for clemency from world leaders and human rights organizations, Bhutto was sentenced to death. On the 4th of April 1979, he was executed in Rawalpindi jail. His death transformed him from a political leader into a symbol. Supporters viewed him as a martyr of democracy, while critics continued to debate his failures and flaws. Bhutto's legacy remains deeply embedded in Pakistan's political culture. The 1973 Constitution, the nuclear vision, and mass political participation continue to shape the country. His ideas lived on through the Pakistan People's Party and the leadership of his daughter, Benazir Bhutto. More than 4 decades later, Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto remains a powerful and polarizing figure, proof that while leaders may fall, their influence can outlive them. Zulfiqar Ali Bhutto's life was a story of extraordinary ambition, immense popularity, and tragic consequence. He gave Pakistan its first true mass politics, a lasting constitution, and the confidence to stand independently on the world stage. Yet his flaws, controversies, and confrontations also deepened divisions within the nation. His execution did not end the debate around him. Instead, it immortalized it. To some, Bhutto remains a martyr of democracy. To others, a flawed ruler who paid the price of power, but to history, he is undeniable. Decades later, his ideas continued to echo in Pakistan's politics. His name still stirs emotion, and his story serves as a powerful reminder that in this country, leadership is never just about authority, but about legacy.